in the quiet Texas border town of 1981, something unimaginable happened. 3 identical triplet boys vanished without a trace. One moment, they were playing in the front yard. The next, they were gone. No footsteps, no witnesses, just a neighborhood silenced by shock and a family that would never be the same. For decades, their mother, Evelyn Marlo, lived with a grief that never slept. Every crowd was a sea of possibilities. Every stranger with familiar features, a cruel trick of the mind. 30 years passed. 30 years of searching faces and listening for voices that should have grown older. Then, on an ordinary Saturday afternoon, a single detail cracked the past wide open. At a neighborhood birthday party, Evelyn, now in her 60s, noticed a man she didn't recognize arrive with a young boy. As the boy ran past her, she froze. He wore green checkered overalls with bright yellow straps. For most people, it would mean nothing. For Evelyn, it was like being pulled underwater. Swear triplets had worn those exact overalls. The color, the pattern, the shirt underneath it hit her so hard she could barely breathe. She gently stopped the child, her voice thin and shaken, asking where he got his clothes. The boy, frightened, ran to his father. The father moved protectively between them, demanding to know why she touched his son. Evelyn couldn't speak. All she could see were those overalls, and all she could feel was 30 years of pain collapsing into 1 second. Her husband, Walter, rushed to her side, apologizing calmly, but with alarm in his eyes. He explained that their triplet boys had disappeared in 1981, and the outfit was painfully familiar. The father's anger softened into sympathy. He said he'd bought the clothes at a department store months ago and apologized for the unintentional pain it caused. Back in their quiet home, Evelyn was shaken and ashamed. She whispered that she hadn't meant to frighten the boy. Walter sat beside her, reminding her she wasn't foolish. He admitted the sight had hit him, too. Then Evelyn asked to see the old photos. The box had been in the attic for over 2 decades, untouched. Memories, they had learned, could be sharp enough to cut. But she insisted. Walter returned with a worn cardboard box. Inside were the fragments of an interrupted childhood. Small toys, 3 baseball gloves, 3 faded teddy bears. At the bottom was the photo album, page after page of 3 identical faces that had once filled their house with noise. Then they found the picture they were looking for. The triplets, standing shoulder to shoulder in front of their home, wearing those green checkered overalls with yellow straps. Walter's voice cracked as he said it was taken the morning they disappeared. As Evelyn leaned closer, she realized the boy's outfit at the party had been different. The pattern was wider. The stitching wasn't the same. But then she noticed something else. In the background of the photo, barely in frame, was the front end of a reddish-brown Cadillac. Walter recognized it immediately. It belonged to Howard Fielding, the boy's beloved elementary school teacher, a man everyone trusted. But Evelyn's mind snagged on a problem. She was certain Howard had already left town by the time that photo was taken. There had been a farewell party for him. If he was gone, why was his Cadillac there? The photo developer's stamp confirmed it was taken just before the boys vanished. A chill ran down Evelyn's spine. Maybe he had seen something, or maybe he had been a part of it. Later that day, a message popped up on Evelyn's phone from an old friend from the school board, Louise. The message mentioned a retiree reunion. Evelyn called her, and after some friendly chat, she carefully asked about Howard Fielding. Louise paused. She said Howard hadn't officially transferred to another school. Instead, she'd heard he moved to a remote part of Texas and started a private farm, a charity for immigrant boys called Howard's Haven for Hope. Evelyn found the farm's website. Photos showed boys working in fields, smiling beside a man with gray hair and familiar features. It was Howard. Kez's address was listed, but no phone number. She called Walter and told him everything. They agreed to go together. Soon, They were driving down a gravel road to a property that looked tidy and peaceful. A young man greeted them, explaining that Howard and most of the boys were at a county fair. Walter asked if they could look around, and the man agreed. He led them to a barn used as a creative space. The walls were covered in children's artwork. A man arranging supplies introduced himself as Ferdinand, the activities coordinator. He was in his late 30s, with dark curly hair and a wide, bright smile that felt strangely familiar. He said he'd been at the farm since he was 6, that Howard had taken him in. As he spoke, Evelyn's eyes landed on a drawing of a red Cadillac. Ferdinand smiled and said the drawing was his. He said Howard still had the car and had driven it to the fair that morning. Evelyn felt a cold shiver. It wasn't just the car, it was Ferdinand. His smile, his mannerisms, all reminded her of her son, Lucas. She asked if he had any siblings. Ferdinand said yes. His brother was at the fair with Howard, encouraged them to go find them. Carrie drove to the fairgrounds, a noisy, bright scene. Walter found the event schedule, and then Evelyn saw the banner, Howard's Haven for Hope. Standing beside it was Howard Fielding. He greeted them politely, not recognizing them at first. When Evelyn reminded him who she was, recognition dawned. He said he was heartbroken when he heard what happened to the boys. Evelyn showed him the photograph, pointing to the Cadillac. She asked if it was his. Howard's warmth vanished. He stared at the photo, then said he couldn't remember the exact day he left and that the car must belong to someone else. As they walked away, Evelyn heard Howard speaking urgently into his phone. He said to leave immediately after the performance to get Diego. Then they saw him. A man moving quickly through the crowd with dark, curly hair who looked just like Ferdinand. Diego, Howard, and Diego spoke in tense, hushed tones before heading toward the parking lot. Evelyn rushed back to the booth and asked an older staff member about the two men. The man nodded. It's Diego and Ferdinand, he said. They're twins. Evelyn repeated the word, stunned. The man chuckled. Not just twins, he said. They're triplets. Evelyn felt the ground tilt beneath her. She asked about the third brother. The staffer said he wasn't there. He worked at Howard's private estate nearby. Evelyn's world collapsed. Triplets, the right age. Howard's Haven for Hope. She called 911. She explained everything to a detective who warned them not to confront Howard. Walter drove them back to the farm, parking behind trees where they could watch. Soon, 3 figures emerged, Howard, Ferdinand, and Diego, throwing bags into the Cadillac. Just as Evelyn whispered into the phone that they were leaving, sheriff's cruisers blocked the exit. As deputies approached the car, Evelyn got out and walked toward them, holding the photograph. She shouted their names, Lucas, Noah, and Gabriel Marlo. Then she pointed at Ferdinand and Diego and said 2 of them were standing right there. The 2 men stared at the photo, confusion turning into a dawning, unnamed recognition. Ferdinand whispered, "That's us." Howard shouted that he had saved them, that they were abandoned. They were not abandoned. Evelyn cried out. They were taken. The officer placed Howard under arrest. Ferdinand turned to Evelyn and Walter. He asked, "Are you really our parents?" Said Howard had told them their parents were dangerous, gone, imprisoned. It was all a lie. Detectives soon found the third brother, Marco, at Howard's private residence, along with 8 other children. Howard confessed everything. His motive wasn't money. It was obsession. A personal tragedy years earlier, where he lost his own twin sons, had twisted into a sick belief that he was saving these children, giving himself a second chance. Later, at the station, a door opened. Ferdinand, Diego, and Marco stepped in. 3 grown men, their lives shaped by lies, but still carrying traces of the boys in the photos. For a moment, no one moved. 30 years of missed birthdays, of unanswered questions. Evelyn stepped forward. "My boys," she whispered. Lucas, Ferdinand, moved first, pulling his mother into a fierce embrace. Noah and Gabriel followed, and the five of them stood together as a family again. In that small room, a broken family stood whole. Not healed, not yet, but reunited. And after a silence that long, together is the first miracle that matters. Thanks for watching. Please follow for more stories like this.